Hello again. You're watching a special edition of The Breakdown, seen exclusively at atv.ca and A Sports Extra. Of course, I'm Norman James, and joining me this afternoon, the commish, the main man of the Intercounty Baseball League, Mr. Joe O'Neill. Hello, Joe.
Norm, how you doing?
Not too bad. A little bit of housekeeping to take care of early this week, and then we're into yet another edition of the IBL playoffs. As the head man, as the guy who loves the league perhaps more than anybody else, you've got to be really excited.
Well, the playoffs are always exciting in our league. This year, the competitive level of the teams has been tremendous, and even the 1-8 series is going to prove to be interesting, and I'm sure that we're going to have in the first round series that go 6 and 7 games, and once we get into the semifinals and finals, the competition is going to be really intense.
You've likened the Intercounty Baseball League and its caliber to, say, a AA level. Would that be a AA level?
The players are older but the caliber is the same.
How does the league take itself to a new level when the playoffs come around? Why is the baseball better?
Oh, it's very simple. The players are more committed. They worked hard to get to win the championship, and one of the strengths of our league is the teams really hate to lose to each other. There's some rivalries that date back decades. Kitchener and London would be a good example. Toronto and anybody would be a good example. And as a result, you don't like losing to them. So when they get to the playoffs, they really turn it on. And last year we had tremendous, exciting playoffs. In recent past, we've had 22-inning playoff games and 20-inning playoff games that were decided by one run. It's tremendously exciting.
It's a testament, of course, to the rich history of the league, the long-standing rivalries, that sportsman-like or sometimes not so sportsman-like hatred for one another. It's certainly the history of the league. As you go forward, you have to celebrate the past of the Intercounty Baseball League.
Well, 1919, that's a long time. It's the oldest league of its kind in Canada, certainly. And we have a number of teams like the Kitchener Panthers that have been there since day one. The Majors have been in the league since 1925, playing in the same park. So yeah, so there's a tremendous amount of history, and there's a lot of rivalries that have been built up over the years, and some of them are fairly new rivalries that have occurred, particularly with Barrie entering the league in 2000, the Barrie Baycats, and being a very successful franchise. They were the pennant winners this year in the regular season. They have a very, very solid team top to bottom, and actually are going to be tough to beat in the playoffs.
Do you look to them as perhaps the de facto favorite going in based on winning the pennant and knowing what we know about them? Or do you look at, say, a Brantford Red Sox team that has been tried, tested, and true in the playoffs to be able to sneak in there? There's Toronto, Kitchener, and of course London still trying to end that drought that's going on 30 and a half years now. It's pretty incredible. I know you've got to be impartial, but
I am completely
yeah, of course. If you had to throw a couple of dollars down, I mean, who would you put them on? Would Barrie at this point?
I think Barrie would be the prohibitive favorites, but when you take a look, you've got Toronto that has won 6 games in a row, and if they beat Burlington, it would be 7. London have a very solid pitching staff, and all they have to do really is play solid defense, and all the pieces are there. Brantford is coming in the opposite way of Toronto. They've just come off a 9-game losing streak to end the season. And so I really don't know what to expect with Brantford. And the losing streak caused them to finish 4th instead of 1st or 2nd. And they're drawing Kitchener in the first round, the 5th place team. And Kitchener is a team I believe to be reckoned with. They hit the ball a ton. They've got pretty solid pitching. They're very much of a veteran ball club that plays the best in the playoffs. They had a tremendous playoff series with London last year, as you may recall. Got a little testy on occasion.
Yes, of course.
But that's Kitchener-London. So as a result, it really is completely up in the air. If I were to bet anything, I would say that one of the top 4 seeds is either going to be upset in the first round or is in for an unbelievable 7-game scare to get out of the first round.
We could break down the stats all we'd like at Point Streak or on the Intercounty website or londonmajors.com. But from your perspective, which team plays the best at home? Which team can you say has definitive home field advantage every time they step onto their own turf?
Well, that would be Barrie. They very seldom lose at home. The other team I would put in that category is the Maple Leafs. Dominica Field at Christie Pitts is an incredibly interesting place to play.
Well, of course, nobody else likes the Pitts except for them. Because
they love it, but everyone else hates it, and it's a tough place to play. And it's very intimidating for a visiting pitcher to come in, and it's 355 feet to center field. And I mean, they're sitting there daily. How do I keep the ball in the ballpark? Routine fly balls are home runs there. And I mean, last Sunday, the Maple Leafs beat the Majors 17-2, and they had a young pitcher, Adam Pasich, starting that game, and he gave up 8 runs in the first inning. And I imagine part of it was it's like pitching in your friend's backyard.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, doesn't take much to get it out of the park.
It's frustrating as a pitcher. It can be tantalizing as a hitter to play in a field like that, and it can also really put you in a difficult place if you're swinging for the fences. But you look at Christie Pitts and you look at Jack Couch, you look at Brantford's field, Cockshot, you look at the Labatt Park. You know, they have their quirks, these baseball grounds. But does this not add to the character of the league?
Oh, the league has tremendous character in terms of the parks, and of course the one that we haven't mentioned is Ottawa, who play in a 10,000 seat stadium, and along with being a 10,000 seat stadium, it's a big ballpark. 404 in the center field, 380 in the power alleys. It's a tough park to hit a home run out of. And they've got a team that is built for speed and sort of small ball to compensate for
perhaps they're one of those teams that commits an upset.
Oh, I think no one wants to play Ottawa, and it has nothing to do with the travel. They don't want to play Ottawa.
This league has been around close to 100 years now, but in 2011, only 8 teams make up the IBL. I'm an alumnus of the league. I love it. But 8 teams, not 10, all 8 teams make the playoffs. At the end of the day, at this time and era, does that devalue the league?
Well, it's temporary, because we had a team on hiatus this year. I can only say to the IBL fans is that we put the teams to a vote. We gave them 6 different combinations of playoffs that involved 8 teams making it, 7 or 6. We even had one of the combinations was taken right from curling. It was a page 1, page 2 playoff. So we got really creative.
Curling. Influencing.
Influencing, there you go. So what we did was, and we outlined in detail all the 6 options. Then we allowed each team to vote on its option in preference and scientifically added up the scores. And the teams collectively, as a group, favored 8 teams making the playoffs, the rationale being that we were only going to have that for 1 year, and the following year we would have 9 teams again, and we would have teams that played the season but didn't make the playoffs.
We have to wrap this up, but from a sustainability standpoint, going forward, can this league support 10 teams for the long haul, or are we going to see the league go to 9, 10, 11 maybe, then back down to 8? Is there any way that we can look back on this league 3 or 4 decades from now and say, you know, it's not only Kitchener, London, Toronto, but there are these other teams that have been able to stay and have an imprint, have a footprint, and not leave the league?
Well, as recently as today, I received an email inquiry looking for an expansion franchise.
Wow.
So it says that, yes, there are people interested. The critical thing is taking a look at the geography of the league, for one thing, and 2, taking a look and seeing where there's some excellent baseball parks that really are well suited for the league that we're not using. One is in Windsor in Cullen Field. One is in Welland. They have a beautiful park in Welland. Peterborough, Kingston. They're building a stadium, like a small stadium park up in the Aurora Newmarket area, I believe for the 2015 Pan Am Games for baseball. So when you put all that together, we have a chance of looking forward and seeing where those markets would be and seeing where it would make sense. One of the challenges we have as the league, the GTA and the traffic plays havoc with our league, and the fact that our players work all day and then go to baseball games, and trying to get to games in certain locations from other ones is a challenge. And one of the things we're doing is we're trying to work around, as we can, the geography of the GTA that might make a larger league in 2 divisions where there wasn't that crossover a little more viable. So we're looking at a lot of different options that are logistical based that would improve the league and actually ultimately expand it. But if it turned out that we had to contract before we expanded, that's a realistic possibility, and we're prepared to deal with that if we have to.
Interesting times, certainly, when it comes to the corporate standpoint of the league. It's been around forever. It's not going anywhere. It's where it goes and how it looks as we go forward that has got people like myself pretty interested. I'm also excited about the playoffs, and you know what, just from a hometown perspective, I'd like to see the London Majors finally pull it out. Will they? It's up to them. Joe, thanks so much for your time.
Thanks, Norm.
Joe O'Neill, IBL Commissioner. I'm Norman James. Make sure to catch the breakdown at atv.ca and A Sports Extra.